Okay, so event-winning deck profile for Magic. Let's mix things up a little and start with the side deck, because honestly, the side deck, very important part of Magic. It's where you keep a lot of interaction, stuff that plays around strategies your opponents could be employing, stuff like that isn't quite universally useful to main deck, but can completely shut down an opponent's deck if you know how to side deck properly. So, first things first, plains. Mountain, forest, swamp, another mountain, a hedge maze, keep them guessing, some non-basics, always a good idea. Public thoroughfare, less relevant, less useful. I might cut this one from the side deck, to be fair. Anyway, continuing the side deck. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos. They won't expect you to side deck something this kind of strong. Yeah, it's 6 mana, but it's flying trample. And it forces your opponent to either sack their stuff or accelerate your strategy. Carrying it on, we have Judith. Another very underrated side deck staple right here. Yeah. Your instants or sorceries all of a sudden have Death Touch and Lifelink, or they create you some stuff. And it's going to do extra burn damage. You get more value from your value. Very useful. Shady Informant. What more do I need to say? It can disguise itself. Yeah? It could be anything. You don't know what this is. And you pay 4 mana, and bam. You have a 4/2. You're probably not going to do that, to be fair. What you want to do is cast this one Disguise, Blade Explode, and ping someone. So, we have Behind the Mask. Another excellent side deck staple. You can collect evidence sick. You banish a bunch of shit from your graveyard. And all of a sudden, one of your artifacts gets big. No More Lies. Another essential side deck card. Cancel the spell. Very useful if it just cashed in or something. Jaded Analyst. It has Defender, but it can get Vigilance. That's about it. Unauthorized Exit. Decent bounce spell. We have Projector Inspector. Yeah, good detective synergy. You're going to want some of that in the go in this format. Dramatic Accusation. It's an important story moment, and more importantly, you can tap something down and later remove it entirely. Essential interaction if you're running for this particular deck. But, not essential enough to main deck. Curious Inquiry. It gets you a lot of clue tokens. Clue tokens are very important with this deck list. You'll see. Benefit Criminologists, another useful one. Sack an artifact, draw a card. If you're something that benefits from sacking clue tokens, you play this guy. You sack your clue token, you get whatever else it is. We'll get there when we get there. Bubble Smuggler, another face down. You play this, suddenly you switch up the game on your opponent, you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't know what you're doing. And then bam, you got a big guy. Anyway. Misplaced Spy. Always useful to have a nice cheap drop. He's a merfolk, he fucking flies. More detective synergy, very useful to have. Exit Specialist. Another useful one. Easy to get damage through if your opponent's going big. You can bounce a creature as well. Again, if they're going big, you're going to want to side that in for game 2. Case of the Crimson Pulse. Again, very useful one. I'm the first to admit there isn't a whole lot of draw power in this deck, so it's entirely possible to side out the main deck draw power for Crimson Pulse and use those lands that you sided in earlier. Red Herring. Another useful one. Attacks each combat. You can sack it for card draw. It's another handy artifact. Cornered Crook. What more can I say? Innocent Bystander. You play some powerful stuff face down, then bam! This guy. They swing at it, boom. Bad things happen to you. Bad things happen to them. Rollerbelt Braggart. it just gives itself menace. Not much else to say there. But the chase is on, you see. Yep. Give your thing first strike, get a clue token. Very useful. Reckless Detective. More detective synergy. You see there's a theme developing by this point. That I don't understand this deck. So, attacks, sack an artifact. You get shit out of that. Murder in the Rue Morgue. You blow up an artifact. Nice and simple, or you blow up one of your own artifacts. And it gets big. Rollerbelt Braggart, again, second copy. Very useful card, worth having 2 in the side deck. Demand Answers. Nothing much else to say there. You know, it's your classic red card draw. But it lets you sack an artifact rather than discarding. So you can get 2 cards from 1 as long as you've got some junk on the field. There are other decks I plan on running this in as main deck. But for now, side deck. Like I said, there's other cards on the go here. Galvanize. You know, ping something. And if you've been drawing cards, hit it harder. Shock. It shocks them. It's like they played a shock land, but they don't even get a land out of it. God damn. Caught red-handed. Cannot be countered. Steal. You're a menace, and it can't block. It's expensive, yeah, but it's a very fun one. But again, not reliable enough to run outside of the side deck. Riftburst Hellion. Well, yeah, another decent disguiser. You can either cast it for 7, or cast it for 8, but get it out potentially as early as... I'll cast it for 9, but get it out as early as turn 3. It's a 2-2 with Ward, meaning that you can get it out on turn 6 potentially. Little risky, but it has reach. You know, there's a lot of strong flyers in this format. I don't need to go into the details. You've probably encountered them yourself. It's worth having something that can... something where you can leave the mana open, hatch it on their turn, grab their flyer, and devour it. So, top of your Panther. Nice simple one. It's a kitty. It land cycles. What more do you want? Sample Collector. He's a troll. He's cool. I like this guy. Yeah, collect everything. He collects everything. He exiles from the graveyard and makes things big. Always useful to have. Greenbelt Radical. Yeah, another fun disguise one. Not only that, he gives all your shit trample, and when he flips, all your stuff gets bigger. Wait, is that everything? Yeah, each creature you control. Very strong, but not reliable enough to run outside of the side deck. Loxodon Eavesdropper. He's a goddamn Loxodon, you know? I mean, yeah, he gets your clue token. He's a medium big guy, and he can potentially get big and vigilant. As long as you have card draw. That's why the side deck runs card draw. Vengeful Creeper. Turn face up, destroy tie. Yeah, basically, it's a 5/5 for 5, or it's a little more expensive, but it can blow something up. It's useful. Gearbang Orangutan does something similar, but it's nice to have options. Options are very important. Anyway, V2 Gazing Inspector. You can exile some shit, and potentially embiggen your creatures, regain some life. Not a whole lot of life gain in the main deck, so it can be useful if your opponent's playing slower strategies to burn you down, to undo some of that delivering out of steam. So, Rollerbelt Maverick. He's a dude, he has a goddamn tiger with him. What more do you want? You know, he can make one of your things bigger. And effectively, well, Surveil 2 is useful, other than that, you know, not super ideal. I mean, if you're already running that Fungus Rabbit creature of Martian Machine, there's no need for this guy, but not a whole lot of that Fungus Rabbit in this format. You know, we'll get there when we get there. Bite down on crime. You know, everyone's 6, and basic exile stuff to get it a little cheaper. Buff one of your things and smack something in the face. Interaction, potentially, decent removal. They went this way. It's ramp that also gets you a clue token. Very handy. A killer among us. Yeah. It gets you some tokens, pretty much. There's some token synergy on the go that can work with that. We'll get there when we get there. Analyze the Pollen. Another absolute classic. Yep. Very useful in this format. Land card to hand, or potentially choose it for any creature in the deck. Reliable. Breakout. Find a creature. Pretty good. Not reliable enough to run outside of the side deck. The same goes for Tin Street Gossip here. As you can see, there's quite a bit of flips. There's quite a bit of disguise in the deck. So it is useful to be able to have something that you can tap to get effectively cost reduction on that. Conditional ramp sort of thing. Lumbering Laundry. Another medium useful one. If your opponent's playing a bunch of face downs, you just hit him with a goddamn, you just get him side in Laundry. Look at all that shit. Not a problem anymore. You know exactly what to deal with and what you don't. Hunted Bone Brute. ETB, it gets... Well, ETB, your opponents get doggos. But your opponent's loser. And when it dies, everyone gets hit. What you do is this is another one that you're going to want to cast face down. With guy from a couple of cards ago, Tin Street Gossip. Yeah, this guy face down for effectively 1 mana from land. Pretty handy. A turn later, you flip it face up. It's already been on the battlefield. It doesn't have summoning sickness. You're able to swing for 6 and very reliably deal with one of your opponent's creatures. Or at the very well, if you're away getting rid of the dogs, even better. Rotfarm Millipede. Yeah, well, Rotfarm Millipede. Another rather useful one. As long as you're ditching stuff from your graveyard, this guy can get real big. Hazda Vigilante. This guy, I'm 50-50 on running this guy in the side deck, you know? It's good, but it's higher than all the mana curve the deck tends to go. And in terms of late game, there's better plays available in the main deck. We'll get there when we get there. So, either way though, he can make your stuff, you can buff your small stuff at least, which is kind of useful. Speaking of kind of useful, we have Flotsam and Jetsam. As long as you have blue in the deck, it's probably worth running this, since you can get either side from blue. And you know, you've seen the blue that we have. So, Flotsam and Jetsam, pretty handy. Melek, get the hell out of here. You're not legal for this format. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking putting him in there. Kellen, yes, he's a detective now. He can tail the suspect. Additional land, always useful to have. Tolson here. You know, there isn't super Legends Matter deck, there isn't really a whole lot of Legends Matter in this format, but a lot of the legendaries tend to be good creatures in and of themselves. Yeah, he's 6 mana for a 3-2, but he creates a big wolf. And on top of that, you can force your opponents to block the wolf. Very handy. Meddling Youths. You know, the Scooby Gang. What more could you want from that? Soul Search. Another classic. Yeah. In hindsight, not entirely sure why I'm not main decking this. We'll get there when we get there. Yeah, but it's not too bad, you know. It lets you hit something from the hand and potentially gets you another flyer. Flyer is useful in this format. Handy to have quite a few little ones. So, Buried in the Garden. It yeets. Yeah. It's removal. Oh, it's removal and ramp, basically. It's handy. It's multi-purpose. Dog Walker. Hell yeah. You know, it can disguise itself. You can get some doggos. Finishing up the side deck, then, we have Rakish Scoundrel. Fairly solid side deck card, as I'm sure you're well aware, having played this format yourself, no doubt, by this point. You're going to want to play it face up, but you have the option of playing it face down as a bluff. You know, I mean, looking at the cost on it, it's only worth playing face down as a bluff. You're not going to want to flip this one. Yeah, but you can give target creature indestructible, which I guess Basically, it's 6 mana to potentially shut down your one piece of your opponent's interaction. It's not usually worth it, which is why this is only in the side deck. Okay, so, finishing up the side deck, we have an arbitrarily high and hypothetically infinite number of each basic land type just to augment the basic lands we have up here. So the main deck then, something like this. I should do it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the format this is for specifically is the Murderlit Call of Mana pre-release. Anyway, here's the tiny Teferi that I won. Look at him. He's tapping his wrist like he had a watch. He doesn't have a watch. What are you doing, little mans? He's ambidextrous. Anyway. Yeah, shout out to friend of the channel Marcy for giving me this idea, which was too openly and absurdly stupid for me to resist. I'm not going to not do it when I have the chance to, especially considering my last deck profile video was one that placed last. So, finally, we have the extra deck. No, we fucking don't. This isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Get out of here.